And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. I'm Gary Kaltbaum, your host. Hey, thanks for being with us today. Glad you're here, ladies and gentlemen. Happy that you are listening. It's Wednesday, March 11, 2026. Hope you're having a good day. As always, serious talk on everything that affects you. We'll do the markets, the economy, your job, your industry, war, oil prices, and all that other stuff. And if you do not get this radio show in your city, we'll post it at GaryK.com, also on our X feed. If you don't follow us on X, you should. If you'd like to email us, just be nice. We'll also post, really, just be nice. And we'll also post it on the YouTube channel of BizTV. So, I'm going to take a swig of water and start out by saying, wow, we got a lot of emails. Interesting. Got a lot of emails about keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for telling the truth. Thank you for being unbiased. Getting a lot. But we also are getting a lot of what's going on here? What is this politics stuff? Politics this, politics that, Trump this, Trump that. Let me address that. And seriously, if one doesn't realize that when you have a president of the United States, we're going back a little bit, put 150% tariffs up to 150% on just about every country last April. If you don't realize that is a market mover, I can't help you. When that same president, within a couple of days, takes them off. If you don't realize that's a market mover, I can't help you. By the way, once they took it off, the Dow went up 2,000 points in 15 minutes. If you don't realize, subsequent of that, and this is not an exaggeration, 100 times he changed his stance on tariffs. I can't help you if you don't understand that's a market mover. If you don't understand, that affects maybe people you know in business that sells anything from tchotchkes, snow globes, tires, or my friend who I met with and told me he paid $900,000 in tariffs that came out of their pocket that they wouldn't have come out if there weren't any tariffs, while we were told that we don't pay the tariffs. If you don't know that's not big for markets and business, I can't help you. If you think that's just politics, I can't help you. If you don't think this war that has raised oil prices big time, you think that's just politics and not market movers and business effects, I can't help you. I filled up my gas tank today. I get the mid, $3.99. I was paying $3.29 about 10 days ago. If you don't think that matters, I can't help you. I understand the love or the hate. We're not telling you these things because we love or hate the president. We're telling you because it's market movers and economic movers. You can use the word politics all you want, but these are big market movers and economic movers. And we've never had a president, ever, not even close, to injecting himself into so many avenues of the markets and the economy. Whether it's taking 10% positions in this, that, or the other thing, or doing something with crypto, or pardoning people that owe $1 billion in restitution, who then give $50 billion to whatever. You get my point. All of this matters to the markets. All of this matters to the economy, and maybe even your job. We are not taking a side on the war. We are beside him. We hope it goes well. We want it to end. We have 7 dead, 150 injured. We're finding out some of them have legs and arms amputated. We don't want any of that, neither do you. But this is all market movers, and this is all economic movers. Just go call up the CEO of Delta and United on whether this move in oil prices. Go ask your Uber driver or your Lyft driver that now has to pay a crap load more for gas that comes out of their pocket, how much less they are making a day and a week. I can't help you if you think it's just politics. This is big time stuff. Big time stuff. And when you hear, oh, Apple's going to get an exemption, it's a big mover for one of the most important stocks in the market. When NVIDIA's CEO visits the White House 472 times and gets exemptions, that's a mover for the number one big market cap in the market. When you find out Oracle gets a piece of TikTok, these are market movers. These are economic movers. And if you don't think so, I can't help you. I wish you well, but I can't help you. All we can tell you is they all matter. And again, we have never had anybody even close that is nonstop. And even now, the last 2 days, about 8 times he said the war is over soon. And I'm thinking, well, why doesn't the market believe him? Because it's market movers. If the war's over soon, why is oil prices up 5% today? All this matters. Not to mention Lockheed Martin and L3 and Northrop Grumman and defense stocks. And how about today, the big oil refiners? Marathon Petroleum up 5%. How about Phillips 66, 4%? How about Valero up 6%? Refiners. We're going to try and figure out 1 + 1 = 2. Why the refiners have such a good day today. So it matters. And again, if you think it's just politics, I can't help you. And as we move forward, when words come out of his mouth, actions happen that affects markets, the economy, your job and your industry, we're going to yap away. And if you think that's just politics, I can't help you. They matter big time. Big time. And that's the story there, ladies and gentlemen. Today the Dow was down 290, but it wasn't, how do I put this? It wasn't a bad 290. Does that make any sense? The S&P was only down 6. NASDAQ up 19. NASDAQ 100 up 8. Why? Semiconductors. Good day today. Had a couple other things strong. Tesla, somebody said something. And like SanDisk was up 37 and some of that going on. There was some news. But advanced declines, 15.29 New York, 19.26 on the NASDAQ. But oil prices were up again. That USO, which is the spot price, I'm only showing up 2%. I'm only showing up 2%. But when I look at the light crude of May, that's up 5% today. That's the, futures crap and all that. So the war is still on. There's a lot more going on. There's now threats of drones on California that they're reporting. Who the hell knows what's going to end up happening? All I can tell you, it's still going on. The president several times today, it's going to be over soon, that we have, his exact words, we have no targets left, that we got them all. I hope he's right. Up next, the rest of the market, lots to cover, and whatever else. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. Let me tell you my other worries. Oh, by the way, there's no politics involved. Have you been reading about private credit? So let me explain that to you. JP Morgan is now marking down the value of some software-related loans in private credit. It's private, in other words, undisclosed. And basically, they... Let me put it best. I read a couple of years back about a hedge fund that was a real estate hedge fund. And I believe, I don't know if anybody went to jail, but I believe there may have been some arrests, some to that effect, because what they did in the hedge fund was they were, let's say they owned 10 buildings. And the 10 buildings, they said to the hedge fund clients, are worth $100 million. But they were really worth 40. And of course, they got fees based on the 100 million, but they were only worth 40. Well, these private hedge funds are marked price based on a private thought process, not market. In other words, I'm looking at right now SanDisk up $37 today to $655. I'm looking at Goldman Sachs down $10 to $623.75. I have a specific market price for these names. But in real estate and in private equity, they're based on people saying, well, that's what it's this, that, and the other thing. Recently, BlackRock marked down to 0 from 100, which is the high loans. And of course, on Friday, BlackRock stock went from 1,035 to 955 at the close. How do you go from 100 to 0 overnight? Well, that would be mispriced. You catching my drift? And there is just a company called Blue Owl. Blackstone had BlackRock. And now JP Morgan, a big bank. If these assets were so good, why is the most powerful bank in the world now refusing to lend against and marking down? This is the worry for me. It's called the credit cycle. Simple as that. And I will tell you, oil prices won't take us down, but a big drop in the credit cycle could. When these companies are forced to, they're not doing it on their own free will, forced to mark down and then reduce lending. That's your economy. We have a lending-based economy. By the way, that's not a bad thing. It's a bad thing when it's stupid lending. Last week, BlackRock limited withdrawals from a flagship debt fund because of a surge in redemptions, because people are scared out of their wits. And by the way, these are very rich people. Their private credit fund faced a wave of withdrawals. I just told you about JP Morgan. Blue Owl, OWL, down 30% since June of 25. The rest down. There is severe stress in this area. And if there's anything that worries me, I think the oil thing's going to go away once the war's over. I think it's this private credit, because we may have a lot more markdowns. A lot more. There's a company called Cliffwater that manages $33 billion. I bet you haven't heard of them, because I didn't. Fire sales? Redemption requests? Forced sales? Stay tuned. We're going to stay on top of this. Just remember, 2008 did not happen because of bad mortgages. It happened because of bad leveraged bad mortgages, mortgage-backed securities. The question I'd like to find out, and don't know as of yet, do we have a lot of leverage there? Is it any wonder that the financials have been acting terribly? Any wonder? Especially these private equity stocks. I mean, holy crap. Blackstone's gone from 190 to 107. In a normal world, I would have thought the S&P was down 15-20% when I see a Blackstone do this. That's Blackstone. They're gargantuan. So keep this, not even in your file manager, keep it in your mind front and center. We'll keep covering it. Maybe this is contained. Maybe. I worry about this private stuff. I'm always amazed when somebody tells me that they bought a real estate investment trust, a private one, when you can buy them on an exchange and see it trade every day. People have found out lack of liquidity in the private stuff. And the pricing, I've heard stories, not accusing anybody of anything, but I've heard stories about funky pricing. Funky. So I want to do a little synopsis on that. And we'll keep you informed. As you know, we've been on a hard avoid on everything financial as it's worsened. And by the way, that's credit cards, investment banks. The European banks and the Japanese banks were acting great. They've topped badly. I don't think I have anything above the 50-day moving average. I think the closest is Bank of New York. So keep that, again, file manager stuff. Up next, Oracle. Interesting. And whatever else. I'm Gary. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. So we are always interested in the big names. Number one, how influential they are. That would be number one. Number two is because they're just so damn big and they matter. Oracle, in a stunning move, the stock crashed in spite of the fact they announced a huge backlog, but we find out about debt and all kinds of weird stuff. The latest today, by the way, for example, symbol NBIS, up $15 today, 15%, because NVIDIA is going to invest $2 billion in the company. That loses a lot of money. Has good growth of sales, but loses a lot of money. And they're going to invest $2 billion, and guess what the company's going to do with the $2 billion? Buy NVIDIA chips, which scares the hell out of us. Circular financing, but that's for another. Anyway, Oracle stock has been absolutely mauled. 345 to a recent low of 135. Well, today it was up 1372, 9%. The only problem is it was up $22. And I wonder if it's already getting distributed, that's selling, into any move to the upside. We'll see. Just letting you know. This whole software thing has weirded me out in that, thankfully, I play by the first rule, and that is, how are the stocks acting? Are they in bull markets? Are they in bear markets? Uptrends, downtrends, big uptrends, big downtrends? And the software stocks have been nothing but misery. So I have not had to hold one share of them on the way down. Recently, better tone. And when I say better tone, they stopped going down and they started a little bit better in the context of an overall big downtrend. Oracle, you hope, is going to have some people go along for that ride today, and really didn't happen that much. Saw a few software stocks up. I saw a bunch down. So I remain agnostic on it and avoid, while it's been a little bit better. We'll keep a watch on Oracle because was hoping for better finish up today. Did not. And in other big land, NVIDIA, amazingly, this for me is one of the most amazing things I've seen in a long time. Since August, I'd say 80% of the time, it's stuck between 170 and 194. And just can't get it out of its way. One time went above the 194 and came right back down. One time went below the 170 and came right back up. For all the talk of NVIDIA, and earnings are strong, revenues are strong, how the hell can it get going again? And I'm just wondering two things. Number one, it's got a $4.5 trillion market cap. It's tough to move that. 24 billion shares outstanding. Tough to move that. And I'm just wondering, are they doing a discounting of the future, which is going to be lots of competition and typically margin squeeze? We'll see. If it ever gets above 194, you will hear from us. If it ever breaks 170, you'll hear from us. It's 186. By the way, you'd hear from us if it first breaks 176.91. That's the 200-day moving average. Just letting you know. So that's a little bit of Oracle and all that. I also want to mention Tesla here. We're always on watch. When you have a chance, go to the charts and you will see where the low was in November. Go look where the low was in the last few weeks. Pretty much same. There's your support. Breaks below there, hell's going to break loose. Just letting you know. And still really can't get going. The car business, not great. That's being nice. But there are other things that everybody's talking about. How great they're going to be with this, robo that. That's all up in the air. We'll know in time. We'll see. That's a little bit of Tesla. Apple is just another one. It's done nothing since September. And interesting enough, Apple has done nothing since December of 24. In fact, it's flat. Since December 24. So, what is that, 14, 15 months? Not the end of the world. But it's just tough. 14 billion shares outstanding, 3.8 trillion market cap. Very tough to move those things when you get that big. I think there's a little component of that going on. Less so with some other big names. But Meta can't get going. You already know about Microsoft. Amazon, that stock is down from 258. It's 212. And that, by the way, I didn't even realize this. Amazon since 2021 July, 4.5 years, let's call it, maybe more than 4.5. The stock is up 12.24, 13% in 4.5 years. I didn't realize that. So that one also is kind of stuck. If any of them get unstuck, you'll hear from us. But that is the story of some of these big mega caps right now. And I think that is a component why the NASDAQ can't get the hell out of here to the upside, even though semiconductors are pretty darn strong. So a little bit of that. But I just wanted to make sure I got in this credit stuff. As far as the war, you got me. You got me. I don't know when it's going to end. I hope in an hour. But there's a lot of noise. A lot of noise. And as I said to you, and I don't think this is arguable, I don't think anybody had an idea of how much ability these scumbags in Iran had as far as retaliation. Boy, they knocked out some of our intelligence places and intelligence. Hoping for better. Hoping for much better. I always put it out to our listeners. Can you tell me about industry? What's going on? Especially from the travel industry people that email me. They're really worried. We're getting a lot of that. I got one email from some, I can't mention what the industry was. They asked me not to. Tourism into the States. Way down. I've been told from Canada, way down. From Eastern Europe, way down. We'll see what the effect that is as we move forward. I think there's a worry, especially from across the pond, the immigration front. Because you obviously know there's moving parts there. All affects industry. Up next, this, that, and the other thing. Whatever else. This is the one and only Investor's Edge. And welcome once again to Investor's Edge. Apple coming out with a foldable iPhone. Seriously. Anybody gonna get a foldable iPhone? One of the greatest companies ever. Product-wise, services. I mean, they got us stuck. We're in the ecosystem. But have they created anything new in a long while except a phone with a little better camera? And prices keep going up. By the way, prices are going to go up for all these technology things. Big time. Anyway, we just did a whole dissertation on too big, maybe. Everybody's wondering why these things aren't moving. I think it's bigness. By the way, I just looked. The S&P is down 1% this year. I would have thought it was down 8 or 9. When I scan financials, and then I look right over to the restaurants, and then I look at a bunch of economically sensitive, and then I look at housing and housing related, and then I look at the retail stocks that are really coming in hard now, or the payroll stocks, or the garbage stocks now, and the travel stocks. And we already know about software. I would have thought we were down 8 or 9 already. It's only 1. The Dow's only 1.3. The NASDAQ only 2.3. Wow. Seriously, I would have thought 8 or 9% just this year. Because when I do my scans, they're done without any bias. And when I set up my screens, they're based on how many stocks are leading. And I can tell you my main screen, half of it's blank. There's nothing on it. I have oils. I got some of that building construction for AI. I got those semiconductor, optical memory and all that. But I got to tell you, I'm down to 6 retail names. I used to have 20. And a crap load of technology that has moved over to my left screen. Anything to do with crypto is gone. And how will I know things are better in these areas? I'll move them back. Got to start acting better. Do I think the market is off to the races once we get past the Iran thing? Before the Iran thing, we were in just trading ranges of the big indices. I don't know. What I can tell you right now, semiconductors feel like they want to go again. The optical memory, storage, AI thingamabobs, still fine, actually strong. Some of the building construction energy for that strong. But that said, I got about 25 names in building/construction that came off my front screen that are now on my left screen. That means they broke support and or moving averages. So a lot of jello moving on the plate. And it's not great. And again, almost 2-to-1 negative advance decline today on the New York. We want to see the opposite. New yearly lows, double new yearly highs on the New York, and almost on the NASDAQ double new yearly highs. And when you even go look at the new yearly highs, they're really not new yearly highs. There's some oils, but a lot of non-operating stuff. As I look at the NASDAQ, new yearly highs. I got a couple of semis, and then the rest, not much. A couple of biotechs. On the NYSE, if I can find it, oils. Pretty much oils. Yeah. Patterson Energy, EQT Corp, BP, Petrobras. That's about it. We'll let you know if that changes. And one other thing, yields are really starting to tick up now. We just went, you ready for this, in 8 days? We closed at 3.962, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days, 4.208. That may not sound like a lot. It's a lot. And I'm wondering if the cost of the war, as well as the surge in oil prices, are forcing the bond market down and interest rates up. That would not be a reach. And I can promise you, a negative 1-2 punch would be if oil prices keep going up and interest rates keep going up. We'll stay in touch with that. And I gather that housing stuff, not happy about it. Oh, and by the way, the amount of inventory in housing continues to skyrocket across the states, and prices keep coming down off of fantasy land. And when I mean fantasy land, I see houses that were $1 million 4 years ago being put up for $3 million, and they ain't getting them. And of course, 3 months later, they're $2.5 million. And then another 3 months, you get the point? Anyway, you all have a great evening. Drive carefully. When you get home, do like we do, quite simple. Make sure you hug your family and children. You will feel better. They will feel better. I promise. Do not forget. No agenda, ulterior motive, or bias. Just to stay in tune with what's going on. Have a great one, everybody. Good night.